Tonight in Houston, Albert Pujols and the Angels start a big three-game series against Jose Altuve and the Astros, as first place is on the line in the American League West. Angels and Astros next. Is coming off a very good homestand, had the off day in which they traveled to downtown Houston yesterday, and tonight from Minute Maid Park, they begin a three-game series against the second place Houston Astros. Let's take a look at the standings in the American League West. The Angels maintain that one-game lead. Houston was idle yesterday. Texas lost to the Yankees, so the Rangers now find themselves 8 games back. As we welcome you inside Minute Maid Park and back to Angels baseball here on Fox Sports West, along with Mark Gubiza. I'm Victor Rojas. Now, the Angels on the off day did make some news as far as a trade was concerned. We'll talk about that in a second. But when we got to the ballpark today, we noticed that Mike Trout was not in the lineup, taken out for precautionary reasons, having an MRI today.
Yeah, just assumed he was going to be in the lineup, Victor, to consider what he did after he hurt his wrist there, diving for a ball in the outfield at the Big A just a couple days ago. Came in there very quickly, and the big thing for Trout, he said because he lost control of the glove and the glove came off, he didn't think it was going to be an issue whatsoever, but a little bit sore yesterday, a little bit more so today. Getting better. Mike Scioscia doesn't believe it's going to be any more than a day-to-day, get an MRI done right now just to make sure there's no structural damage, but we assume Mike Trout will be back in there possibly even as early as tomorrow.
Well, we mentioned as far as trades are concerned, a couple of days after acquiring Connor Gillespie from the Chicago White Sox, Shane Victorino, the flying Hawaiian himself, a week after Hawaiian Week. Go figure, the Angels acquire Shane.
Well, he's certainly a winner. He's been on 2 world championship clubs with Philadelphia and with the Red Sox. He's a guy that brings a lot to this ball club, brings that energy. The guy in his career 4 times has stolen over 30 bases in a season. He's won the Gold Glove in the outfield, does so many things that allows you to do that situational type hitting that Mike Scioscia has been wanting to do this entire season. So he's got some decent little bit of power, great outfielder, great range, but above all, he can put the ball in play and steal some bases for you.
Shane is getting to start today and playing left field. We're going to step away for a moment. When we return, we will focus in on tonight's designated hitter, Albert Pujols. Angels.
Pujols got one of those sliders up in the strike zone. That's one pitch you'll see a lot from McHugh, a slider, giving the Angels a 2-1 lead. They won that one 2-1 against the Astros. 333 career hitter against McHugh for Albert. Going to need him, especially with no Mike Trout in the lineup tonight.
Halos 5-5 against the Astros on the season. We're just about ready for baseball here in Houston. Sit back and relax. We're going to bring you the lineups of the first pitch when we return. Back to the Angels, this is game number 99, and as we talk about the Angels having a one-game lead in the standings, they are 2 games better in the loss column.
Yeah, there's a lot of action. You mentioned that trade deadline. A lot of action being around baseball. Some big names moving also, so there's still a few more days before the non-waiver trade deadline is up in July 31st. So it's some action. There's Mike Trout. He's got a smile on his face. It's good to see that.
There's the standings in the American League West. Texas hosting the New York Yankees at Globe Life Park in Arlington. And they lost last night. That's why they find themselves 8 back. Seattle won. They're 10 back. And then Oakland, very busy. They traded Tyler Clippard. They traded Ben Zobrist today to the Kansas City Royals. The Royals are not messing around whatsoever with the moves that they have made. Let's take a look at Mike Scioscia starting lineup for the Angels tonight in Game 1. Johnny Giavotella in that leadoff spot. Connor Gillespie at third base. Cole Calhoun at right. Albert Pujols to DH. Eric Ibar the shortstop. C.J. Cron gets to start at first. Chris Idetta behind the plate. The newest Angel, Shane Victorino, gets to start in left. And it's Daniel Robertson in center field in place of Mike Trout. And they are taking on the 28-year-old right-handed native of Atlanta, Georgia, by the name of Colin McHugh.
Yeah, McHugh, pretty good fastball, although he doesn't throw a lot of fastballs. 88 to 93 range slider, cut fastball, curveball, and changeup. A solid season, 11-game winner for McHugh so far this year. Been able to get ahead of the count for the most part. Not a guy that gives up a lot of home runs. Pitch to contact guy, ERA 4.25 for McHugh this season. And my go-to is to be successful against him. Look for hanging slider. He throws a ton of them. Over almost nearly 40% of his pitches are sliders. He will hang a slider here and there and pressure him early. First time through the lineup, hitters hitting over 300. After that point, batting average goes down, so be aggressive early against McHugh.
He comes down and warms up to Taylor Swift's Bad Blood. How about that? He's not messing around.
Yeah.
It's legit. Take a look at the Astros defensively tonight. Gaddis in left, Marisnik in center, Rasmussen right, Valbuena, Correa, Altuve, Gonzalez from third to first, and Conger behind the plate.
And Correa at shortstop already has established himself as a solid major leaguer who's going to be one of the best players in the game before too long. Batting average pretty solid, but very good with the glove, as committed. So far 5 errors, fielding percentage at .970, but his range is fantastic. His arm very strong.
You know, and speaking of Taylor Swift on a serious note, the Houston Astros and Minute Maid Park having to change the Taylor Swift concert date to a September date, just so that in case they get to the postseason, there will be no conflicts.
Is there an off day? Is that why? Because you can come fly in for that concert. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly right. Johnny Giavotella ready to step up. Tonight's first pitch being delivered by the UPS store. Colin McHugh, a guy that will get a boatload of ground balls. He's given up a lot of fly ball outs, and you got a chance to kind of take advantage of terrific numbers in his career against the Angels, this being his 7th career start. Giavotella hitting .267, 3 home runs, 36 RBIs. The Angels got to Houston last night about 7 p.m. local time. And, well rested. Astros, as we mentioned, also had the off day yesterday. McHugh making his 21st start, second on the team in wins with 11. 4.25 ERA. Giavotella ahead of the count at 2 balls and no strikes.
And he's trying to stay up on top of the baseball to create better sink action on his fastball. He got so involved in throwing a lot of cut fastballs, taken away from his true 4-seam and 2-seam combination with his fastball.
Strike. Cut action to it as well. Three and 2 on his career against the Angels with a 2.08 ERA. Down low. Third start of the season against the Angels. His first 2 this year. He's gone 15 1/3, allowed 14 hits, just 4 runs, and he has struck out 13. And that's a strike. Bottom part of the strike zone.
Barely touching that bottom part.
Johnny didn't like that call. Sam Holbrook calling the balls and strikes tonight. Greg Gibson at first, Clint Fagan at second, and Chad Fairchild over at third base, the umpiring crew for the series. Here's a payoff pitch. Bouncer foul.
His mislocation early on. That fastball was supposed to be away. It ended up being off the inside corner. And mentioned that first time through the lineup for McHugh. 311 batting average with 7 home runs and 22 RBIs. Second time through goes down to 258. Third time 257. Fourth time through the lineup 176.
Another payoff pitch. Johnny fouls it off. With the ERA under 5 here at home. He's been a little bit better on the road, although he's still 7-2 here at Minute Maid. 4.88 earned run average this season here in this ballpark. Another 3-2. That is ball 4. So the leadoff man reaches via the walk.
That was a real solid at bat by Giavotella. My Hyundai key for this game for the Angels to be successful. Dirk Bentley, I'm a little closer. Look for that slider and cut fastball out over the middle part of the plate. Don't chase that out of the strike zone. If you do that, you should be successful against McHugh tonight. If you start chasing that pitch like we saw at home, chasing some of those pitches out of the strike zone, becomes a little bit different. So bring that cutter, come a little closer with that cutter and slider combination.
Connor Gillespie playing third, batting second with Trout out of the lineup. Just joining us, Trout having an MRI on his left wrist area. No results been made available to us as of yet. I'm sure Mike Scioscia will address it in the post game. Or if we hear something, we'll certainly pass it along.
Gillespie batting the 2 spot. Calhoun drops to the 3 hole with Pujols to DH in the cleanup spot. Gillespie 3 for 7 as an Angel on the season. 244, 3 home runs, 16 runs batted in.
Interesting alignment though by the defense, playing the pull. All 3 of his hits as an Angel were hit to left center field. Tells you he's going to throw sliders and cut fastballs, more than likely inside against Gillespie for McHugh.
Halos picking up the final game of the series against Texas on Sunday, 13-7. Hit run is on. That one ripped down the line, and that is foul. Just foul. Hit and run would have netted the Angels a run. Instead, it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count, and Johnny will head back to first. Might review it, it looks like. At least they're going to check it out. Gibson making the call at first. Now Gillespie will make his way back to home plate, so the Angels not going to review it.
He's right in that corner where we don't really have a real good view from our booth to see if that ball would have been fair or not. And Socha got the answer he needed from Paul Sorrento.
So 1-ball, 1-strike. Johnny off to a big lead again over at first. Good off-speed pitch. 1-2.
And that's one pitch Gillespie has chased so far wearing that Angel uniform. Has been that slider and curveball down and in. Fastballs away. Good pass at it.
Johnny working the leadoff walk, standing at first. Saw 8 pitches from McHugh. Check in on Giavotella. Johnny with 1 stolen base, has been caught once. Just last in the American League in stolen bases, just 27 on the year. Trout, of course, leads with 10. Giavotella takes off. This one lifted foul and out of play. Angels made a move today in order to activate Shane Victorino, placing Matt Joyce on the 7-day concussion list. A collision on Sunday with Eric Ibar in shallow left field. So Matt a test run and was opting to place him on that 7-day concussion list. Breaking ball, ripped foul. Almost a fantastic play by the fan in the front row. In and out of the glove.
Was ready.
Yeah, he was. That was awesome.
He saved somebody, though. That's the one thing.
Well, if you can't get a third baseman by the trade deadline, you might have someone in the seats that could help you out. Giavotella started to go, then stopped. This was shot toward the alley in left center field. Will go all the way to the wall with Gaddis playing left. Unfamiliar to that position. Giavotella will easily score from first on the double by Gillespie. The Angels with a 1-0 lead.
And another base hit. This would be in a double going the other way for Gillespie, letting that baseball travel well. Was elevated. Nice job of hitting that baseball that hard the other way. And you mentioned Gaddis doesn't play that position a whole lot in left field. Pitch upstairs, little sinker that did not have that sink action he was looking for. Lateral movement and a good swing from Gillespie. Doubles his 13th double, picking up his 17th RBI. Angels off to a good start. No hesitation whatsoever for Giavotella.
Gaddis playing in his 7th game in left this year, 55th of his career. As the breaking ball drops in for a strike. Cole's had a good month of July. On the season, he's hitting .276, 13 home runs, 56 runs batted in. 20 of those 56 RBIs have come this month. Man in scoring position. 1-0 Angels here in the first. Foul back. Oh, nice catch in the press box. Alden Gonzalez.
There it was.
Of MLB.com.
And he completed the double play with a good throw.
Yeah. Bouncer foul.
Cole 6 for 18 versus McHugh. It's one of those at bats at the very least you're looking for a ground ball to that right side of the infield to advance Gillespie to third base for Albert.
One ball, two strikes.
It's one thing we remembered over the years with Hank Conker. He likes that 0-2 high fastball. Loves to call that pitch. Sets up the high target.
Good lead for Gillespie at second. Broken bat rolling to the right side. Marvin Gonzalez feeds McHugh. They get the out. Gillespie advances to third.
Well, that bat stuck right into the dirt. The job is done. Advance the base runner. Cut fastball inside, shatters the bat. Half the bat went flying all the way towards first base. You can see how it sticks right into the dirt. The flip from Gonzalez over to Q, covering the base.
It's like a javelin toss.
Yes. But a productive out. Gives Albert an opportunity. Talked about the need for Albert to be Albert against the Astros, especially with no Trout in the lineup.
Infield in the first inning here. 1-0 Angels. With no Trout in the lineup, would be surprised if they pitched to Albert.
Still surprising with the infield in. CJ's got pretty good numbers in his career versus the Astros, though. But since the start of the 2014 season, CJ Wilson's 2-4 with an ERA over 7 against the Astros.
Yeah, the Astros have had CJ's number of late. 1-0 pitch. It's a fastball in. 2 balls and no strikes. Albert hitting .260, 29 home runs, 62 runs batted in. A 1-for-5 game on Sunday. The Angels total of 15 hits in that victory over Texas. Their lone win over the weekend. Overall, a good homestand. That almost gets him up and in with a fastball. And Albert with a stare out to the mound.
I guess that's why we heard the song Bad Blood. Runs a fastball up and in. Never works out well when you're a pitcher. You throw something up and in Albert Pujols. Generally, if anything's near the strike zone, the next pitch, it's got a chance of being crushed.
Song would have been ball 4, but I think that obviously a reaction to that pitch up and in. 3-1 count. Gillespie standing at third base, an RBI double for him that brought home Giovatello. Worked an 8-pitch walk to start the game. Breaking ball low, and there's ball 4. So second walk of the inning, puts runners at the corners. Albert clearly a fan favorite here in Houston. The numbers that he's put up in his career against the Astros.
Yeah, 47 career home runs against him during the regular season.
AJ Hinch, the manager's coming out. Colin McHugh has thrown 24 pitches. Mentioned earlier, the command a little bit off for him to start.
It's unusual for a manager to come out, especially this early in the game.
Corner infielders in. Eric looks at a strike.
They've been way in the corners.
Anticipating a safety squeeze. .22 on the year for Eric. Couple of home runs, 34 runs batted in. Outfield also very shallow. Middle infield back at double play depth. Little looper towards second base. Altuve had to wait for it. Ibar safe at first. The run scores. 2-0 Angels.
And you wonder if they're going to take a look at this one. It was a real close play. AJ Hinch is going to look into his dugout to see if they will challenge this call.
Altuve's decision to lay back may have cost the Astros a run. Gillespie was flat-footed at third base, thinking that maybe he catches that ball in the air.
Almost gets there. You see how strong that arm is with Correa. What an arm he has.
We're going to take a look at it.
See if the foot is in there.
They may have gotten it. I don't know.
It's going to be really, really close. Baseball was certainly getting in the glove at that point when the foot is on the base. Was it secure the baseball or in that webbing at that point?
There looks like the ball's in the glove.
Yeah, it might overturn this call.
Greg Gibson, the crew chief, the man who made the call at first.
Saw the other day against Texas, challenged the call, lost the call, no more challenges in the rest of the game. There was a couple plays that were close. Texas may have challenged, but did not have a challenge left.
So the one shot that we showed you that looked like the ball's in the webbing, the foot is kind of behind the bag, and it almost looks as if, makes it appear as if the heel is touching the base. The foot may not be flat on the base. This is the angle that we're talking about here. But it might just be enough where the Angels get away with it. Because if you're talking about definitive, ball's not in the glove yet.
No.
Not there. Now it is. That heel looks like it's
if it touches the base
correct.
First.
It's the only good angle that we've seen. See that right there.
And
the heel appears to be on the bag. That right there is the catch. When that ball touches the webbing. As it stands right now, the call is safe. Fielder's choice on an RBI, 2-0 Angels. Unless the call gets overturned. This being challenged by AJ Hinch and the Astros.
One thing we've noticed already in this game, Hugh can break some bats.
Yeah.
Jamming with that cut fastball.
He's got a sneaky fastball.
Yes, he does.
Late life on it. I'd be curious. I'm going to ask the guys tomorrow if he throws a heavy, that whole heavy ball.
Yeah, the odd numbers for lefties are hitting just 235 against the right-handed batters because of that cutter and slider away. 306, much better swings from the right side against them as compared to the left side. Also, 9 home runs allowed against right-handed batters, only 5 versus lefties.
It's taking a while to review this, which usually isn't a good sign that the call gets overturned. They're looking for all the definitive angles. We've given you everything we've had to look at. So the call on the field is safe at first. It appears as if the heel of Ibar's right foot is on the bag or near the bag, so it makes it look as if it's touching the bag as the ball's touching the webbing. So that just may be enough to have the call stand. But again, it's sometimes just when you think you've got the call here in the booth, it gets overturned or it changes.
And this has taken quite a while to determine that. Want to know if that heel made contact with the base before the baseball was secured.
And the problem is if you can't determine that you have to assume that the heel did touch and the call on the field has to stand. So headsets are coming off here. And safe at first. So I would imagine this is not a call confirmed, but more of a call stands. So it's 2-0 Angels. Eric Ibar call stands. It's the 35th RBI of the season for Ibar.
And that becomes a big play. Not only the run scores, but also the Astros no more challenges.
And again, Mark, I go back to Altuve. Looked like he was breaking it and then laid back to play the hop.
Yeah, he was thinking in terms of a double play ball. But for me, I think Altuve catches that ball in the air. What an arm Correa has. Wow,
Yeah.
that was a close play. I didn't think he had a shot at throwing the ball that close with Ibar batting from the left side going down the line.
So Cron will bat here with a man on, 2 outs. Pitch out, nothing's happening. Angels clearly aware of Hank Conger's issues throwing out would-be base stealers this year.
He's only thrown out 1 base stealer in 22 attempts. So base stealers have been successful 21 of 22 attempts.
So Giavotella on the move quite a bit with Gillespie at the plate. Cron got a good pitch to rip at. Fouls it straight back, and it's 1-1.
And that's that hanging slider / cut fastball right out over the plate.
CJ with a multi-hit game on Sunday. On board 3 times with a walk, a home run, and a single. 264 batting average, 6 home runs, 19 RBIs. Two and 1. At the very least, the Angels making Hugh work here in the first inning. Astros very good at home, 33-17. Angels playing much better on the road, especially considering the last road trip started in Texas. Two balls, 1 strike. Pardon me, 3 balls, 1 strike.
Good count to do some damage for C.J. Cron. Stay back, drive that ball to right center field if he throws something out over the plate.
Ibar takes off, and it's ball 4. So Cron works the walk. The Angels have 2 on here. That's a 3rd walk issued by McHugh in this inning.
Coming in the game, just 29 walks in 127 innings pitched. Unusual for him. And I talked about that first time through the lineup. He struggles early in the game. That's when you have to capitalize. So far, so good for the Halos trying to add on here.
And with the struggles that Wilson has had lately against the Astros, you're trying to pile up as many runs as possible. McHugh has received pretty good run support this year. Now the skies went out to shallow center. Swinging first pitch. Marisnick is there. And the inning comes to an end. But the Angels strike first. They get a couple of runs, leave 2 on. Right at the bottom of the inning, it's 2-0 Angels. Jose Altuve leading things off at second. Marvin Gonzalez at first base. Carlos Correa, the shortstop. Evan Gattis, a cleanup hitter in left. Luis Valbuena at third base. Chris Carter, the DH. Hank Conger behind the plate. Colby Rasmussen right, and Jake Marisnick batting ninth and patrolling center field as they take on C.J. Wilson, making his 21st start of the season. He's 8-7 with a 3.59 ERA.
Yeah, C.J., we talked about how he has struggled against the Astros of late. Still very solid ERA so far this year for C.J., but what I think I need to see from C.J. tonight as far as my go-to is getting a few more of those ground ball outs. So far this season, percentage of outs, ground ball outs are 34%. Last year was 38%. This club, the Houston Astros, relies so much on the long ball. 136 home runs for the Astros. Try to keep the ball down and get ground ball outs.
Altuve pulls the first one foul. And it's an 0-1 count. Hitting .301 on the year with 9 home runs, 43 runs batted in for the All-Star. The struggles that CJ's had lately against Houston. And that one almost hit him. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's his third start. CJ's third start against Houston. He's 0-2 with an 8.10 ERA. 10 innings, 9 runs on 11 hits.
Good changeup there. That pitch he didn't really have as effective for him his last game out. Changeup very, very good for the most part this entire season. He's been able to get some quick outs with that pitch also.
Nowhere near the zone. Evens the count at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Last start was against Minnesota. Picked up the win. Just 5 innings, 105 pitches in those 5 innings. 2 runs on 6 hits. That's on the corner. Called strike, 3 down goes Altuve for the first out.
2 good changeups in that sequence against Altuve. Altuve didn't like that call. He catches the outside corner. Corner of Fox tracks. Right on the corner. Perfect pitch. 86-mile-an-hour changeup from C.J. Wilson.
Always good to keep Jose Altuve off the bases. 28 bags on the year. That leads the American League. Marvin Gonzalez batting second, playing first base tonight. Ahead of the count at 1-0.
Yeah, the Astros #1 as far as home runs in the American League. #1 in stolen bases also in the American League. But batting average 13th best.
For a team that is 10th in on base percentage. Baseball.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just when you think you've got it all figured out. Gonzalez, a shortstop by trade. Switch hitter. 2 ball, 1 strike count. 262 on the year, 7 home runs, 22 runs batted in, 15 doubles as well. This one out toward shallow center field. Robertson coming in. 2 down. Let's take a look at the Angels defensively tonight. Shane Victorino on left, Daniel Robertson in center, Cole Calhoun in right. The infield with Connor Gillespie, Eric Ibar, Johnny Giotel, and C.J. Cron. From third to first, Chris Iannetta behind the plate.
And Victorino getting the start out in left field. As far as how many games he's played in that position, 112th game in left field. Has played a ton in center. Also been very solid in right field. 4-time Gold Glove winner, Shane Victorino. First game in left field since 2012.
First one misses upstairs on Correa, the shortstop. These 2 teams last met, and that was at the Big A in late June 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. They had bounced and foul. Houston was sitting atop the division with a 3.5 game lead. The Halos were 5.5 games back and in third place. Which is a played 14-6 baseball in July, while the Astros have gone 9-11. Two-one count. Correa hitting .288 with 8 home runs, 27 runs batted in. Shoots from the right field, hit pretty well. Going to the wall, and that is gone. Correa goes the opposite way for his 9th of the season. Houston gets one of those runs back. It's 2-1 Angels.
That's how impressive he is to go the other way like he did. That fastball's away, but it was elevated. What's that? His 9th home run of the season. See the target being set. Iannetta wanted that target down. You see the reaction from him. And all of a sudden, when you reach up with their target as a catcher and the fastball's elevated like that, some damage could be done. The way it did so, hitting that ball out to right field. Special young player.
So no shutdown inning for Wilson as Gaddis takes low. Gaddis getting to start in left tonight. 246 on the year, 16 home runs, 57 runs batted. He pulls him foul. Gaddis also with 6 triples.
Now that's an impressive category for him. The old school, no batting gloves, swings extremely hard. Every pitch thrown towards him.
Kevin Kiermaier leads the league in triples with 10.
Another 2-1 count for CJ. When he's been ahead of the count this year, he's been very, very good. Behind in the count, whether it's 1-0, 2-0, 3-1, it's all that with 2-1 to Correa. He has struggled.
Pulled over to third. Gillespie. Nice play on that weird hop. And that's the 3rd out of the inning. Astros get a run back on Correa's 9th of the season. We'll head to the second with the Angels up 2-1. We mentioned also at the top of the broadcast that the Angels have acquired David DeJesus from the Tampa Bay Rays. The Angels have now made official the fact that they've also acquired David Murphy from the Cleveland Indians.
For now, some serious outfield depth. There's Mike Scioscia some options, platoon potentials also.
No doubt, and veteran presence. Angels bench has been an issue all season long. Victorino drops the bunt on the first base line. A good one. McHugh off the mound. Not going to get it. An infield base hit in his Angels debut for the Flying Hawaiian.
Talked about that even on the pregame show, what he brings to the club. You mentioned winning pedigree, won 2 world championships in his career, but also could do some things with the bat. Perfect bunt right down the first baseline, that push bunt. And the only play McHugh has right there is if he throws that baseball, maybe hits Victorino in the back initially, but he's right along by that line. He probably wouldn't get that call if he did hit him with the baseball.
So he's on board for Daniel Robertson. Robertson getting to start in center field in place of Mike Trout tonight. Kyle Kibitz also sent out before the game today.
Well, you got to believe there's some kind of action play right here. Whether straight steal, Victorino with 5 stolen bases in 5 attempts this year, or bunt, hit and run, something as far as action.
He takes off. The hit and run is on. Back up the middle. Correa has it. His only plays to first. 1 down.
And that's the thing Mike Scioscia wants, some flexibility to be able to do these type of things in the course of a game, to create runs. Victorino with a good jump, hit and run on. Robertson does a nice job of putting that ball on the ground. Now Victorino in scoring position for Johnny Giavotella.
Angels have run more tonight than they have in the month of July. Just starting the base runners. Taking advantage of Conger behind the plate. McHugh, not the quickest guy in the world, not the slowest either, but try to take advantage of things. Johnny worked an 8-pitch walk in the first, scored one of the 2 runs. He loops one out to right field. That'll get down for a hit. Victorino, bad read, does not advance to third. With Rasmus playing shallow, he must have thought that Rasmus had a play on that ball. So instead of first and third, he got first and second, and Gillespie up.
Yeah, he read that. He looked back to see if that ball landed in the outfield, but then at that point felt he was taking a few steps back. He could not advance. See him read that. He's going and he's going back. And he felt at that point to try to advance. Easier throw for Rasmus, who has a good throwing arm from right field. Does not take that shot.
Gillespie 1 for 1 with a double to the alley in left center. Picked up an RBI. He takes upstairs. McHugh had struggles with command in the first inning, walked 3 batters. The Angels sent 7 men to the plate. Gillespie now with 17 RBIs on the year. 3 infielders on the right side, and that is ball 2.
Trying to get that cut fastball in on the hands of Gillespie. Gillespie real good when he lets the baseball travel, especially fastballs out over the plate or away. Getting that ball well to left center field.
Little flare out to left. That's going to get down for a hit. Victorino, late start, is going to be waved in. Going to third on the play is Giavotella. The Angels get that run back. It's 3-1.
Boy, what great base running by Giavotella there also to get to third base. A little flare into the outfield. He read that one down. Victorino wanted to make sure it was down again. Able to score. Gary DiSarcina challenging the arm of Gaddis out in left field. And an aggressive Angel club now with 3 runs early in this game. Get another hit that way. Another elevated pitch from McHugh. He's made a lot of mistakes upstairs so far in this game. Gaddis looked like he was just trying to get into third base.
Gillespie now with his 3rd RBI as an Angel. His 3rd game. Got 2 tonight. Cole up with 1 out. Runners at the corners. Grounded out to Marvin Gonzalez at first base. His bat shattered.
Had a great homestand. .368 batting average.
Cole swinging at that slow breaking ball, but just pops it up behind the mound for out number 2. Brings up Albert.
Well, Albert's so many special things throughout his career. Stolen bases the other day, giving him 100 steals in his career. Just one of 4 players ever with a 300-plus batting average, 500 home runs, and 100 steals or more. Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, the others. It's an impressive group to be involved with there for Albert Pujols.
One ball, no strikes. Albert worked a walk in the first.
Albert still having that glare out on the mound. Remembers that pitch, second pitch of the sequence, last at bat, up and in on him.
2-0. I think that they are content with no Trout in the lineup to just kind of work around Albert. If he wants to get himself out, he'll get himself out. But
well, when you try to guide a breaking ball, though, you can make a serious mistake with that pitch. Talked about the batting average for right-handed batters against Q3.06 coming into the game.
2-0 to Albert. He skies with the right field line. Rasmus giving chase into foul territory. This one into the seats. Albert chasing the fastball in the upper part of the strike, so it would have been a strike. Q at 43 pitches, and Roberto Hernandez is the first man up.
Pretty quick. Going to that bullpen, especially for a pitcher who's won 11 games for you.
They were playing the infield into the first, and A.J. Hinch made a visit to the mound already.
So it's almost as if they're playing for a 5-inning game, expecting a rain delay or something.
Right. Just missed. Not by much either. A 3-1 count with Ibar on deck. Giavitello standing at third, Gillespie at first base. 3-1 Angels here in the second. Albert pulls one toward the hole and through. A base hit that brings home Giavitello. It's 4-1 Angels.
All helped out by that very good base running by Giavitello to get to third base.
Albert picks up Cole, who swung at that first pitch and popped out on the infield, picking up his teammate. This inning started with a bunt base hit by Victorino.
Victorino already picking up his first run scored as a halo. Giavitello with 2 runs scored already in this game.
Visit to the mound by Brent Strom, the pitching coach. As the 2 new veteran outfielders, both left-handed batters, Jesus and Murphy, both been around a while.
Both very good in the outfield defensively also. And again, versatility gives Mike Scioscia that chance now to be more creative as far as trying to score runs instead of waiting for the home run ball.
Ibar swings and loops one out to left. Gaddis is there. And that's the third out of the inning. The Angels add 2 more runs. We will head to the bottom of the second with the Angels leading at 4-1. Network. While supplies last, purchase your tickets by visiting the Angel Stadium ticket office or online. Valbuena, Carter, and Conger here in the second. TJ gave up a 2-run home run to Carlos Correa. Nothing more in the first. Valbuena, the third baseman. All or nothing guy, 198 on the season is the batting average, but 19 home runs, 40 runs batted in. He's done a nice job of picking it too at the hot corner.
He's made some unbelievable plays this year against the Angels. 4 for 4 in his career versus C.J. Wilson, including a home run. Good idea to throw that big slow curveball to Valbuena. He's looking to drive the ball the other way, looking for a slider or a fastball out over the plate. Can't do that when you throw that slow curveball.
And just fouled it back. Astros have been a little slightly better against right-handed pitching than lefty. 244 versus 238. The splits are even as far as home and road. 242 on both sides. That hits Valbuena in the leg. So on a 2-2 pitch, the leadoff man is on board.
Certainly no intent behind that pitch from C.J. Wilson. This is his 9th batter he has hit this year. Trying to go inside with a fastball, missed by a lot, hit him on the thigh.
Valbuena certainly taking his sweet time getting to first. Kind of looked at CJ as if there was some sort of intent.
Intent on a 2-2 count. Up 4-1.
Carter drives one out to deep right center field. A monster shot, and that is gone. So Wilson gives up his second home run, and now it's a 1-run lead again.
Carter with great numbers against C.J. Wilson. Now 10 for 28 with 3 home runs and 7 RBIs. Went with a fastball right down the heart of the plate. And Carter, with his great power, his 17th home run of the season going the other way. That went a long way. 184 hitter. Reason why that is the case is because he's looking just for a fastball. CJ makes a mistake with a fastball.
He hits the 198 hitter and gives up a 2-run blast, and Conger gets into one but fouled. So the Angels have staked Wilson to a 2-0 and 4-1 leads. He's given 3 runs back. This just in, the Astros can hit fastballs. Now with 138 home runs on the season.
They're geared to hit a fastball, especially when they can get their arms extended. Now you get a fastball in on it, it's got to be off the plate, but fastball may be down and away, but off speed is very effective.
And now Conger gets hit by a pitch.
CJ's thinking that Hank Conger kind of leaned into that one, made that motion to the home plate umpire. Right almost on the kneecap. You don't have to try to get out of the way of that pitch. But clearly he didn't try to get out of the way of it either. Now if you lean out over the plate, well then the umpire can just call that a ball.
So 2 hit batters and a home run. Nobody out, and Rasmus coming up. Rasmus pulls one foul. First pitch, Hackett, quite a few of them are. The right fielder hitting .233, 13 home runs, 34 runs batted in.
Early on, an entertaining game, thinking they had a chance with both these pitchers. Now, possibly a low-scoring game, but 7 runs scored already. We're only in the second inning.
Two teams came into tonight's action with the exact same team ERA, 3.51. Foul back. 1-2.
That's third and fourth best in the American League. CJ's last 3 starts here at this ballpark, ERA 8.53.
Rasmus goes down swinging for the first down.
Good sharp slider here from CJ. Quick conversation. Mike Butcher to start that at bat. Better control of the slider went away from that pitch. That was a solid one for CJ.
Bunt attempt by Marisnik. It's an 0-1 count. Marisnik, a .232 hitter this year, 5 home runs, 21 runs batted in. Very good defender in center field. Spent some time on the disabled list. June 19th to July 4th, left hamstring strain. Good speed for him too. He's been on board. He gets 13 stolen bases on the year. And Conger standing at first. 1 out. A 4-3 Angels lead here in the second. Foul tip makes it 1-2.
More of a setup pitch, try to cut fastball. You would think he's going to go back with the changeup now down and away against Marisnik.
It's that area that you're not very fond of. Have a throwaway pitch. Now it's a full count.
Because what it does is creates that angle where you have to drop your elbow. If you're a guy that's most effective downstairs in the strike zone to create that high fastball or high cutter, you have to drop your elbow just enough, and that always seems to have a carryover to the next pitch for CJ. Go back with a cut fastball once again.
He rolls this one to third. Gillespie goes across the diamond. Time Marisnik for the second out. Conger ends up at second. Jose Altuve will battle the tying run at second. He struck out looking on a changeup in the first inning.
You know, he's going to be out there hacking. If it's first pitch fastball, it better be located well from CJ.
pulls this one toward short. Ibar has to go underneath his glove, and that'll bring in a run. Altuve to second. He's out at second base.
Can't review it.
Nope. But they tie things up. 2 in the books, 4-4 game. He was thinking about throwing out Hank Conger at third base on this ground ball by Altuve. Does not get charged with an error. It's a base hit and an RBI for Altuve.
Yeah, it would have been an extremely long throw across the diamond with Altuve's speed. But Victorino wisely fires that ball quickly into second base, pick up an outfield assist. The tag is applied to Altuve to finish off the inning. But it was the speed of Altuve that forced Eric Ibar to think in terms of maybe a play at third base as compared to just maybe even knocking the ball down and keeping it in the infield.
Colin McHugh back to work, and he'll face Crowe and Victorino here in the third. And a 4-4 tie. Angels led 2-0, 4-1, and that has evaporated. Crowe with a walk in the first, 3 issued by Colin McHugh. On the corner, 1-2. Appeared to be off the plate. Sam Holbrook ringing it up.
Still, I think your approach against him, especially as a right-handed batter, is look out over the plate. You see that baseball would carry very well to right center field. 50 pitches thrown, 28 strikes, 22 out of the strike zone for him.
Conger back outside, and he got him with a fastball. First strikeout of the night. Fans, the Angels host the Orioles on August the 7th. 7:05 is that game time. Fans in attendance for receiving Garrett Richards bobblehead, courtesy of Pechanga Resort Casino. While supplies last, you can get tickets at the stadium box office or online.
And the game face comes along with the bobblehead for Garrett Richards. Ready to go tomorrow.
Oh, 1 count on Chris Iannetta, swung at the first pitch to end the first. Fly ball to shallow center. As tantalizing as that slow breaking ball has been for McHugh, he hasn't thrown it for a strike yet. Angel hitters keep swinging at it. Now the 1-2 pitch. It's fouled off.
The one thing you don't want to have happen is McHugh get settled in now. It looked like he had a chance of being out of the game. Bullpen already up in the second inning. A.J. Hinch was close to thinking about bringing in Hernandez for the bullpen for him.
There's that slow breaking ball. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The Angels offense has pretty much done its part. C.J. Wilson unable to shut anything down. 56 pitches for McHugh. 2-2 now. And that is driven out toward left field. Gaddis moving back. It's over his head. That one is gone into the Crawford boxes in left. It's a 5-4 Angels lead. Iannetta with his 8th of the season.
Pitch out over the plate. Chris Iannetta did not miss that one. 8th home run of the season. 26th RBI for Iannetta. Now the 15th home run McHugh has allowed. 10th to a right-handed batter. Slider out over the plate.
Right.
Jump on that slider. It's a 5th home run for Iannetta in his last 11 games. Took advantage of a hanging slider.
Victorino takes upstairs. Bunt base hit in the second. He's 1 for 1.
On that high fastball.
Yep. James abandoned switch hitting, batting solely from the right side now. A couple of stints on the DL this year. A hamstring issue early, calf strain. And the Angels were at Fenway Park back in May. Breaking ball fouled back. It's 1-2. Roberto Hernandez getting ready again. Breaking ball pulled to left. Third. Now Buena. Across the diamond. 2 outs. There's Daniel Robertson. Part of the hit and run in the second inning, grounding out to Correa. Five-4 Angels in the third. No pitchers duel tonight.
Old-fashioned American League baseball here so far.
No balls, 2 strikes on Robertson. First of a 3-game set against the Astros here at Minute Maid. Chopper slowly hit towards short. Correa comes in. A quick release.
Nice job of getting around that baseball to have a better angle to throw the ball to for Correa.
We'll head to the bottom of the third. C.J. Wilson will have his 3rd lead to work with here. Chris Iannetta providing him that 1-run cushion with his 8th of the year. 4 p.m. Pacific on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. 2, 3, and 4 coming up for the Astros against C.J. Wilson. Wilson has hit 2 batters. He's given up 2 home runs. He has struck out 2. He'll face Gonzalez, Correa, and Gaddis. .22 strikes, 17 balls for CJ. Going off the plate.
There's been some runs scored in Texas. Looking down to the Yankees are playing Texas at 7-5 in the top of the second. Yankees leading the Rangers.
Wilson falls behind again, and it's 2 balls, no strikes. Gonzalez with a fly ball to center to first. Three, no. That was old school Ranger baseball back in the day.
Yeah. And they're still, bases are still loaded in Texas for the Yankees in the top of the second with 1 out.
They just did catch the zone. It's 3-1. And a walk to lead off the third.
And they forced Mike Scioscia to get the bullpen going.
There's no doubt it will. C.J. Wilson struggles just against the Astros. A little mind-boggling, but he has not been able to get over that hump. He can't put it behind him. Some movement in that Angels pen, and actually something loosened right now. Difficult for us to tell who has it right now. Just beyond the left center field fence. Mike Morin, first man up. That's more of a product just to get you through 1 inning.
Fortunately enough for the club yesterday, an off day. The bullpen gets a little bit of a rest.
They've got a tough week ahead, though. 3 here, 3 at Dodger Stadium. This does not help matters if you have to all of a sudden have a bullpen game. 1-0. Correa with a home run. 2-1 count. Going the opposite ways. 9th of the year, 28th run batted in. Called up on June the 8th.
He's 4 for 4 in his career versus CJ with 2 home runs and 4 RBIs.
Rolls this one foul. The Honda coming schedule. 3 against the Astros, 3 against the Dodgers. Then it's back home against Cleveland and Baltimore. Type of team in the Astros that you don't want to give them any life.
Especially when the offense continues to give CJ leads here. 2 runs in the first, 2 in the second, and another run with a home run by Chris Iannetta in the third. For that shutdown inning, hasn't got it yet for CJ. Need that shutdown inning right now.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Having Gaddis on deck. A walk to start the third. Full count.
Well, the Astros will be going here on a 3-2 count. Pitch number 50 coming up in the game already for C.J. Wilson.
Horn's about ready to go.
Gonzalez with 3 stolen bases, has been caught twice.
Three, 2, ball 4. So back-to-back walks. And the first 2 have reached here to strike the third. Very timid tonight.
It's a frustrated look for Mike Scioscia, especially with no Mike Trout in the lineup yet to score 5 runs early.
Gaddis will bat 0 for 1 with a ground ball to third. Wilson now in the years pitched 12 innings against the Astros. He's allowed 13 runs on 14 hits. Gaddis a ground ball to third in the first inning. So he's 0 for 1. Double play candidate if you get him to hit one out of fielder. 1-0.
He's grounded into 7 double plays. CJ always amongst the best as far as getting a ground ball double play.
Gaddis skies one out to straightaway center field. Towering fly ball. Robertson is there. Tagging and going to third is Gonzalez. Correa will stay at first. 1 out.
Gaddis had a pretty good pitch to drive. He just missed that one. He hit a towering shot to center field. And that's his pitch. Got underneath. You can see the frustration with Gaddis. The decision for Robertson to throw that baseball right into second base. You still keep a double play in order.
Valbuena hit by a pitch leading off the second on a 2-2 count. Scored on the Carter home run. Carter on deck. And another 1-0 count.
He's hitting over 300. 302 on that 1-0 counts against C.J. Wilson this year.
Valbuena pulls one to Cron, and it's going to turn out to be a double play. Oh, talk about a gift. First 2 on walks, and all of a sudden nothing comes across. The Angels maintain a 1-run lead. Podcast, and it's brought to you by T-Mobile. 5-4, Halos lead it. And C.J. Wilson very lucky that ball found C.J. Cron. That was a rocket by Valbuena. Get into a double play and no damage after walking the first two batters to start that inning. Top of the order for the Angels. Ciavitella hits a fly ball. Shallow center. Marisnik is there. One down. First time that Johnny's been retired tonight. Walking a single.
And scored a couple runs. Nice job leading off.
Hughes settled down in the third inning. To give up the home run to Iannetta, put the Angels back on top, but had a strikeout. His first of the game. Threw a couple of groundouts, and that's his bread and butter.
Keeps trying that high fastball against Gillespie. Plays into his swing. And hit the ball the other way.
Ground ball into the shift. Altuve has it. 2 outs. Gillespie retired for the first time. 2 for 2 with a double, a single with 2 RBIs. 2 very quick outs. And bring up Cole. Cole, a ground down and a pop-up. Six hits for the Halos, 3 for Houston, 2 of which have been home runs. Correa, Carter. There's the 0-2. Upstairs. Albert on deck.
Once again, that 0-2 high target set by Hank Conger. The cue too high out of the strike, so not going to get many hitters to swing at that pitch.
Watch out. That got into the seats behind the Angels dugout in a hurry. I don't think they got anybody.
Thankfully, that ball was hitting real hard and quick.
Cole able to lay off the breaking ball, goes down swinging in a 1-2-3 inning for Colin McHugh. Angels lead at 5-4.
California. Visit Dodge.com. By AT Uverse, more live channels on the go than cable.
And by Subaru. Test drive the all-new 2015 Subaru Forester or go to Subaru.com to learn more.
5-4 Halos. We begin the bottom of the fourth here at Minute Maid. Chris Carter to lead things off. He'll be followed by Hank Conger and then Colby Rasmus. Breaking ball for a strike. Carter saw one pitch in the second inning. It was a fastball, and he put it into the Astros bullpen out in right center field. 17th of the year, 44th RBI.
So far in this at bat, slider followed by a changeup, avoiding a fastball to him.
Two balls, one strike. That'll leave in the count. Carter came in batting .333 in his career against CJ. Now with 3 home runs, 6 RBIs. That's a called strike 3. Got him looking. Fastball on the inside part of the plate. Third strikeout for Wilson.
A good sequence there. Some change-ups. We had a cut fastball the outside corner followed by a four-seam fastball inside. Get to the inside corner, freezing Carter.
Hank Conger hit by a pitch in the second. Looking to strike. It's at 148. It's right-handed pitching this year, left-handed pitching this year. Carter. He pulls this one into left. One on and one out. Hey folks, join us for Italian Heritage Night, August the 8th. The Angels take on the Orioles at 6:05. Purchase your Italian package online and receive an Italian Angels hat and great seats to the game. Is that a hat? What is that? It's an interesting looking hat.
Yes.
Like it. Get your tickets online, or you could go by the Angel Stadium ticket office. Angels.com/Italy. Rasmus hits a moonshot to right. Not very deep. Cole in.
Drop it!
Drops.
Way to go a long way for that. That was hit high enough. He can cover some ground.
Two outs, Conger at first, and Jake Marisnick coming up. Center fielder grounded out to Gillespie in the second inning. Right at Riverside Poly High School. All first team CIF at baseball. All CIF Southern Section wide receiver. His junior year. Told you to go out and get it in center.
Oh, that's why he's able to play shallow in center field, take away that little flares, but also very comfortable going back on the baseball. Used to doing so as a wide receiver. They are up there hacking if anything's close to the strike zone early.
Pitches from Wilson. 3 2/3 are kind of all over the place tonight. One consistent zone.
This guy you want to get, you don't want to bring out Chuba to the plate. That's for sure in this inning with runners on base.
Took something off. Two now. Well, that's a strike.
Got a lot of the upper part of the strike zone for Wilson.
Sam Hallberg didn't call it. That's in the zone.
Talk about a lot of the strike zone. It's ready to belt high. That's middle of the plate.
That was sitting in, but had to reach back across.
It still gives the home plate umpire a good view of the pitch.
Yeah. So 3-2 and 2 outs. Conger will take off from first. Altuve on deck. A little flare. Out to shallow right field. Thrown, and that is foul. Just did tail
foul. He jammed him on this fastball. TJ Crone just running as quick as he could to get towards that baseball, with fortunate enough for the Angels. That is foul. A big pitch here for CJ. Got a couple of options, really. You can go with the fastball in again on him, or you can go that changeup down and away. See if you can get a swing and miss.
And he walked him. Third walk issued, and now you got to deal with Altuve with 2 on. Almost rather have Risnick beat you than all of a sudden get into this situation where you're dealing with Altuve, who's 1 for 2, had an RBI single in the second. Oh, what count?
Backdoor sliders be pretty effective for CJ.
Angels with action in the bullpen again. Looks like it's Morin once again getting ready. He was up and listening in the second. Altuve hits one back up the middle. It's a base hit. Conger's being waved around. Robertson comes up firing. The throw is cut off. And they've got Altuve in a rundown. Here comes Risnick to the plate. He will score. Some bad fundamentals by the Angels, but Wilson put himself in that situation. We will head to the 5th with Houston leading at 6-5. Six-5 as we start the 5th inning. This is how the Bottom of the fourth concluded.
Exactly why you don't want to have Altuve come to the plate with 2 runners on base. And Robertson charged that one well, but the throw is going to be up the first base line. Clone cuts off the throw, but the throw he threw to Giavotella was not firm. And because of that throw, doesn't allow Giavotella to have a potential play at the plate, as Marisnik, with his speed, is able to score the go-ahead run.
And CJ is like a shot put over to Giavotella. One hopped him. Pujols to lead things off. Fouls this one back. Albert, Ibar, and Crone here in the 5th. But you're right, it goes back to the Marisnik at bat in which you walk the 9th place hitter to get to Jose Altuve. Play with fire, sometimes you get burned. Albert fouls it off. Q, on the other hand, settling in. Gave up the home run nine headed to 3rd and then a 1-2-3 4th.
Well, he's gotten away with 2 pitches here to Albert so far. And Albert's had 2 good swings at him. Not be surprised if he tries to bounce a breaking ball now.
Albert with a walk and an RBI single. Breaking ball, check swing. No. 2-2.
See if he did go. Looked like he crossed the plate.
Yep. I would have rung him up. Again, that's that slow breaking ball from the Q. This was pulled toward 3rd. Valbuena to the back end. Nice play by the 3rd baseman. Wow.
We've seen that so often this year for Valbuena on the backhand. Good range at 3rd base for the middle infielder by trade. This ball was scalded by Albert. Valbuena, backhand, and a firm throw to 1st.
Ibar with a fielder's choice and an RBI in the 1st and a fly ball left in the 2nd. 0-2. Outfield shallow toward the left field foul line with Eric at the plate. Little flare to shallow center field. Correa racing out there, and he almost makes an unbelievable play, robbing Ibar of a base hit. Wow.
Well, did he have a good read off the bat and almost made that play with that closing speed he has. Right off the bat, you thought no chance. Jammed him, cut fastball. Almost able to reach out and make that play. Now you have a potential now with the speed of Eric Ibar to create something once again. As that baseball just over the head of Correa.
TJ Crone with a walk and a strikeout. Ibar started to go. That one's upstairs.
Good count right now for Eric to go.
Got a pretty good lead. McHugh paying attention to him.
And most times a manager won't put a pitch out on when his pitch is behind the count 1-0. Hyundai key for this game. That come a little closer as far as that slider. Get that pitch middle part of the plate. Iannetta certainly got that hanging slider. C.J. Cron has the power to get one of those sliders himself.
Got a high fastball there. Comes up empty and evens the count at 1-1.
Usually the good thing about a guy with speed at first base is for a hitter, you have a better chance of throwing out a would-be base stealer or get more fastballs.
This is an off-speed pitch there, right up in the heart of the plate. It's 1-2. Handles with 2 runs in the first, 2 in the second, 1 in the third. Houston with 1 in the first, 3 in the second, 2 in the fourth. Josh Fields getting ready. Astros bullpen much improved. ERA at 2.68 as a bullpen. Ibar takes off. Cron chases that breaking ball. It's in the shallow right. Marwin Gonzalez in the foul territory has got it. 2 outs.
New York had a big jump also. And the last time up got a slider out over the plate from McHugh. 3rd inning. He crushes his 8th home run of the season, 5th in his last 11 starts.
One for 2 now with that home run. Fly ball to center field in the first. 6-5 Astros here in the top of the 5th inning. .85 pitches for McHugh, 53 but strikes, 2 strikeouts, 3 walks, all 3 of those walks in the first. Opening game of this 3-game series. Both starters ineffective early. McHugh has settled down. To break the ball for a strike. The inside part of the plate. 1-2.
One of those very hittable breaking balls. Gets a lot of the plate.
Let's look at the standings. Texas trailing the Yankees. Two balls, 2 strikes. Seattle will take on the Diamondbacks later on tonight. Oakland at the Dodgers. 2-game series. Two down. Ibar takes off. The breaking ball low, and it's a stolen base for Eric. Picked the right pitch.
7th stolen base of the season for Ibar. Now in scoring position for Chris Iannetta. Good jump. Slow breaking ball in the dirt. seeing the Angels run more already today than we've had in a long, long time.
There's ball 4. Went back to that slow breaking ball. So it'll be 2 on and 2 outs here. Victorino coming up, and that might be it for McHugh with A.J. Hinch making the way out. Fields, a good fastball, is ready to go in the bullpen. I wonder if it gives him an opportunity to get the 3rd out here, at least become the pitcher with record.
Sometimes the manager just wants to hear a pitcher saying, "I got this next guy," and that's all you need to say. And that's what he got.
Yeah.
All he's looking for is one word saying, "I got him." Yes, anything to give that positive attitude for your pitcher on the mound when the manager comes out.
Victorino with a bunt base hit in the 2nd, a ground down in the 3rd, is 1 for 2 in his Angels debut.
Good time for him to make some friends on that team right now for the Halos for Victorino.
People looking to strike. Outfield very shallow, especially Rasmussen right field. So Ibar's got to give himself a pretty big lead. He's going to try to score from 2nd base, representing the tying run. Good rip at a high fastball.
Well, Victorino likes high fastballs, high breaking pitches. It's amazing how shallow Rasmus is playing in right field. Marisnik shallow in right center field.
0-2 now. Breaking ball, and he got him swinging. Conger may have gotten hurt a little bit, but the Angels are done here in the 5th. We'll head to the bottom of the 5th inning. Houston still up by a run. The descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Angels Baseball LP. 6-5 Houston, bottom of the 5th inning. Gonzalez, Correa, and Gaddis 2, 3, and 4 for Houston here against C.J. Wilson. He's given up 6 runs on 5 hits. He has struck out 3, walked 3, and he's hit 2 batters.
Mike Trout in the dugout had an MRI done earlier today. Wrist a little sore day today.
Marvin Gonzalez 0 for 1, a fly ball to center to walk. Morin is up in the pen, but already loose. things go awry here for Wilson in the 5th. Oh, and 2. Gonzalez didn't like that call. He's got a legitimate beef. Pitch appeared to be off the plate.
By about a baseball or so off the outside corner.
Tops this one at the third base line. Foul.
.75 pitches thrown in the game for C.J. Wilson. 21 second inning.
Cue shot foul. Five runs, 7 hits, 6 left on for the Angels. 6 runs, 5 hits. 1 left on for the Astros. One and 2. Both teams have played pretty well against the division. Angels at 28-20. The Astros at 24-17. Hiccup for the Astros has been out on the road, 6 under 500. It's down and in 2-2. The Angels, because of the last road trip that they were on between Texas, Denver, and Seattle, in tonight's action, a game over 500. Took them a while to get there. It's helped in the surge in the month of July. 2-2, foul back.
That's what you want to do generally, is play around 500, a little bit above 500 on the road for the season, is have a very good home record and well within your division. Gives you a great chance to win that division.
Carlos Correa on deck. 2-2. Down and in. Almost hit him. From an 0-2 count to a full count now. The payoff pitch. Thomas pulls one toward the hole and under the glove of Ibar, and it's a leadoff single.
Another baseball hit well. She's fighting back to a 3-2 count. Hit by Eric Ibar for another base hit.
Correa 1 for 1 with a home run and a walk.
Seems a pretty good indication of he's trying to have a conversation that might be that Mike Scioscia may indeed go down to the bullpen now.
There he comes. Sure enough, C.J. Wilson faces one batter in the 5th, and that's going to be it for him tonight. Just not effective. And 2 batters in the 2nd, gave up a couple of home runs. Not a good tone set. The opening game of the road trip. 6-5 Houston pitching change.
to get a fast-free quote and see how much you can save. And by Hyundai, the summer clearance is going on now at your Hyundai dealer. Visit buyhyundai.com today.
Opening game of the series against the Astros. The Angels came in with a 1-game lead, trailing by 1 run here in the bottom of the 5th inning. And Wilson done after 4 innings plus 1 batter of rather ineffective baseball. And Mike Morin gets called upon here. Turn in and out, who's in, who's out. Morin will be facing Carlos Correa. He has thrown the ball much better of late, especially with that Bugs Bunny changeup.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. He's more and more comfortable throwing his changeup. Also, his velocity on his fastball has been 92 to 95. Still pretty sharp slider, but his command of his changeup and that same arm angle as his fastball has made him very, very productive out of the bullpen of late for Mike Scioscia.
29th game of the season, a 1-1 record, a 6.14 ERA. He'll be facing Correa with Marwin Gonzalez over at first. Nobody out. Morin did not pitch in Sunday's game. Instead, pitching in back-to-back games against Texas Friday and Saturday. A total of an inning and 2/3. Mentioned Correa prior to the pitching change. A home run and a walk. Home run is 9th. 0-1 count. Changeup, and that's cued out to shallow right center field. That is going to fall in for him. Johnny Giavitello bobbles the baseball. Gonzalez trying to go to third now. The throw is up the line. And a big error by Johnny Giavitello. And allows Gonzalez to advance 90 feet.
A little flare into the outfield by Correa. A good pitch from Morin. Johnny trying to be super quick on the transfer, unable to contain the baseball, and the throw away from Gillespie at third base allows Gonzalez to get it to third base. First and third now with nobody out here for the Astros.
Evan Gattis at the plate, 0 for 2, a ground down and a fly ball to center. Jammed with a fastball, and it's an 0-1 count. Gonzalez belongs to C.J. Wilson, whose struggles against Houston continue. Last 8 starts, including tonight, 35 runs, just over 37 innings.
A number of games left with the Astros, too, so there's going to be some starts on the horizon for C.J. against this Astro club.
Charged with 6 runs tonight. Still, like I said, has Gonzalez over at third base. Boy, got him. Good off-speed pitch. Down goes Gattis. A big strikeout for the first down here in the 5th.
Talk about a great changeup. Again, he has 2 types of changeups he throws. One to a right-handed batter has more cut-type action to get a swing and miss, and then the one that goes down and away against a left-handed batter. Gattis could not stay back on that one. Big punch out for Mike Morin.
That's up too, so it's so tantalizing for a power-hitting guy.
That first pitch, though, at 92, set that one up. That's a 22-mile-an-hour differential between the first pitch and the last pitch Gattis saw.
Correa at first with 5 stolen bases, has been caught once. Valbuena steps in, hit by a pitch and a run scored to the second, and lined into a double play in the third.
Valbuena grounded into 10 double plays this year. And Correa with 5 stolen bases in 6 attempts may be going.
Popped up, third base side. Connor Gillespie calling for it. 2 outs.
Two big outs already for Mike Morin. Keep that focus to finish through this inning with no damage done.
Carter with a home run and a strikeout looking.
Well, that changeup at 69 miles an hour. Kind of forced that changeup, elevated it.
Slider down and away. It is 2-0. Gonzalez with a single, chased C.J. Wilson. Correa cued one off the end of the bat. And it bled in for a base hit. Giavotella tried to transfer quickly, dropped the baseball. Gonzalez took the extra base. Johnny charged with his 9th error. Warren trying to keep it a 1-run deficit. The Angels have 9-1-2 coming up in the 6th inning. 2-0 to Carter. Side. By the way, Warren has thrown these 3 pitches. Looks like he wants no part of Chris Carter. Conger on deck. Conger's been a better hitter left-handed this year than he has from the right. And that's pretty much his MO, major league level. 3-0. Took something off, but it's in there for a strike.
I feel him a slider.
I think you got to stay off speed.
Yeah, no question.
Regardless.
And make him get himself out here.
Right.
Don't even throw a strike.
Got the top part of the strike zone.
Full change. Yeah, 3-1 changeup. And it gets the upper part of the strike zone.
I wouldn't go back up there.
No. Again, exploit the hitter that's aggressively looking for an RBI. Expand the strike zone against him.
Here's where you need the Napoli change piece.
Yes. And get that side view, the camera angle.
Warren threw into Mike Napoli. Boston was a town that was just absolutely ridiculous. Here's the payoff pitch. Change up, rolled foul.
I threw a good one against Texas, also a very similar type of swing.
Gonzalez, the base runner at third, was kind of jockeying down the line to see if he could distract Morin. Correa is off of the pitch. 2 outs and a full count. Another 3-2. Fastball got him. Just blew it right by him at 93. And Morin comes in and slams the door. We'll head to the 6th with the Angels down 1.
Chris Carter, one shot to dead center field. The Astros and the Angels going back and forth, and then Chris Iannetta with a big fly himself. Give the Halos a lead again. Then Jose Altuve, the All-Star, base hit up the middle, scoring an encounter, and eventually, but not made, on a rundown, allows Marisnik to score the go-ahead run. That's where we're at right now, 6-5 here in the top of the 6th inning.
Daniel Robertson, Johnny Giavitelli, Connor Gillespie to face a new pitcher. As Colin McHugh is done after 5 innings. Josh Fields on in relief, pitching his 34th game this year, 3-1 record, a 2.78 ERA, 44 strikeouts and 32 in the 3rd innings.
Power arm also out of the bullpen for the Astros. We'll rush that fastball, 92 to 97 range. Slider, curve, changeup.
One-time Rule 5 selection out of the Boston Red Sox organization. Delivers a strike on Robertson, who's 0 for 2. 2 groundouts to short. So you want to talk about a shallow right field. Look where Colby Rasmus is playing. It's almost like he's playing the shift as a second baseman on a left-handed batter. Robertson fouls one back. 1-2.
It's about as shallow as you can play without playing in the infield.
We've seen a lot of bloopers fall in tonight, though, on both sides.
Yes.
7 hits for both ball clubs. Off speed, misses. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
What a job by Mike Morin to get through that inning with no damage done.
Giavitelli on deck. Here's the 2-2. Robertson shoots one out toward right center. Marisnik was shading him perfectly, and there's the first down. Stay tuned later tonight on the postgame show for the business of sports, brought to you by AutoNation.com and powered by AutoNation Acura South Bay.
What a perfect time to throw that fastball. Carter at that point was thinking changeup. So they got that good fastball. 92 inside corner, swing and miss, no damage. The pitching by Mike Morin, who continues to throw the ball well again.
Johnny 1 for 2 with a walk and a single. Fouls off the first pitch. Just joining us, the Angels making a couple of moves. Not only Shane Victorino yesterday from the Red Sox, today that was acquiring David DeJesus from the Tampa Bay Rays, David Murphy, Cleveland Indians.
You know, Mike Trout in the lineup today for the Angels.
Kyle Kavitsa optioned down, and Matt Joyce placed on the 7-day concussion list. Vinny Pastano was designated for assignment.
And for Navarro back up today, also available for Mike Socia during the course of this game.
1-2. Trying to swing the pitch around his neck. Stayed back on that off-speed pitch well. Count remains at 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Rasmus hasn't really moved from that spot in shallow right field again.
Connor Gillespie, a nice game so far. 2 for 3, a couple of RBIs. Johnny Skies on the left side. Now Bueno, the third baseman. 2 down. Gillespie doubled home a run in the first inning and scores, singled home a run in the second. 18 RBIs on the year. That off speed pitch, that's some serious movement to it. Tailing away.
In the past, his rare back to try to throw as hard as he could. It's a pretty good assortment of all speed pitches now from between his slider, curve, and changeup.
On the University of Georgia Bulldog, closer for them. Behind at the count at 2-0. Yankees leading the Rangers 15-5. That game's in the 5th now. Pardon me, the 4th.
Just 16-5.
Yeah, 16-5, and now they are in the top of the 5th. Shot out to left center. Marisnick moving over. Angels retired in order for the first time. Second time, I should say. Tonight, one to the bottom of the 6th. The Angels down by a run. Coming up, it's an all-new Gooby Tuesday. Who's your favorite actress? Find out some of the Angels coaches say.
Enjoyed watching Friends with her in that. Jessica Alba. Why not? She's hot.
My trifecta would be 2 Jennifers and a Diane. Jennifer Aniston, Jennifer Lopez, and I'm a sucker for Diane Lane. So Diane Lane is probably number 1.
Sully couldn't come up with the exact one. Had 3 choices. What about you? Who's your all-time favorite actress?
Are we talking about mainstream, or can we go off the board?
Any...
Off the board, I may not want to share. Any particular genre you'd like for me to pick?
Classic.
Raquel Welch.
Good call. Mike Scioscia would like that one.
Bourne back out. He'll face Conger, Rasmussen, Marisnik here in the 6th. Change up for a strike. Hank on base twice. C.J. Wilson hit by a pitch and a run scored in the 2nd. Singleton scored in the 4th.
Change up away, followed by a fastball in from Mike Bourne against Hank Conger.
Two balls, one strike.
Yeah, you have to be able to establish a fastball when your number one go-to pitch is your changeup.
Three balls and a strike on Hank. He drives one out to left center field. That ball's hit well, and it is off the fence. Conger on his way to 2nd. It's a leadoff double. 7th of the year.
On base all 3 times tonight for Hank Conger, former Angel. It's a fastball that's out over the plate. It was elevated, and Hank did a nice job of staying with that pitch and driving that ball hard to left center field off the wall. Played well by Robertson, getting in quickly.
Rasmus 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a fly ball to right. Fastball high. Double by Hank, the 8th hit for Houston tonight. Conger's hit .314 against, or from the left side, I should say, against righties. Two 2-0. C.J. Wilson made the start tonight, went 4 innings plus 1 batter, 6 hits, 2 of which were home runs, 3 strikeouts, 3 walks, 2 hit batters, 6 runs allowed, all earned. Two balls, one strike.
And Rasmus way out in front of the changeup.
Foul back. Ninth place hitter Jake Marisnik on deck. 6-5 Houston here in the 6th. Leadoff double for Conger.
Showing the fastball in. You wonder if he'll come back to the changeup now. Trying to get an out here, but trying to get a strikeout. Keep Conger from advancing over to third base on a potential ground ball to the right side of the infield.
Payoff on a way. Foul back. Rasmus tardy on that fastball. Halos have to piece it together from a bullpen standpoint with a short start tonight. CJ. I think you're at that point too as you move forward through the rest of the season. But you have to do the rotation, move things around. This one's out toward left center field. Racing back on it is Victorino, still going back, and that is off his glove. And it ricochets back toward Robertson. Conger will score. It's back-to-back doubles, and it's 7-5 Houston.
Both left-handed batters going the other way against Morton. Hits down, middle part of the plate though. Rasmus goes the other way, his 17th double. Victorino almost able to run that one down at the wall. It's back there at that 362 sign. And just off his glove as he's going that corner. So many tough little corners. And the way this outfield is cut out here at Minute Maid Park, difficult for an outfielder.
Moving to third is Rasmus. Ball getting away from Iannetta.
Pitch off the glove. That should end up being a pass ball.
Infield in now for the Halos. Boy, as good as this game started offensively for the Angels, it's turned into just a bad game. A lot of mistakes on the mound defensively. One ball, one strike. Botched rundown cost the Angels a second run in the fourth inning. At that point, gave the Astros the lead. Fortunately, the error by Giavitelli did not come back to haunt because Moore did a nice job finishing off the fifth. Ground ball right side. Backhanded by Crone. It's a foot race, and Crone gets there. No, now he's staying safe. I thought he said out.
Looked like he originally was going to call him out.
Well, Moore didn't cover. Giavitelli, not much he could do. He was thinking that he was going to field that baseball, but Crone went to his right to the backhand. And all the while, Rasmus stayed at third.
And as Crone looks towards third, Marisnik with that speed.
He's out.
He's out.
Yeah.
Looked like he got his foot on the base before he was able to put the hand down. Maybe from that angle. From that one angle, it didn't look like he touched the base, but clearly Mike Socha's got the answer he needed to get as far as would he challenge it or not.
Yeah. Yeah, that angle shows the hand hitting. Boy, he looked like he went to ring him up and then called safe. Otto goes an infield base hit. So 3 straight hits to start the 6th inning, 2 doubles, an infield knock. First and third, nobody out. Action in the Angels' pen. As Mike Butcher pays a visit. You got the leadoff man, Jose Altuve, coming up.
And just brushed across the top of the base with the hand before C.J. Crone put his foot on the base. Good hustle. Marisnik, we talked about how fast he is. See that just touching the base with the heel of his hand. And Wisely gets his hand away from that base just in case C.J. Crone would step on the hand.
Great camera shot there.
Very dangerous play when you're running down there head first, slide to first base.
And you've got a fielder running to the bag as well. Here's Altuve, infield in. Nobody out. A 7-5 Astros lead. Big swing and a miss. Altuve with a strikeout, an RBI single, and an RBI single. 2 for 3. Marisnick takes off. It's a swing and a miss. They credited Altuve with 2 RBIs. How can you do that? It was a rundown.
And the runner was not going.
Right. Marisnick was the trail runner. He had stopped at third. But they gave him 2 RBIs in the 4th inning. Home cooking. Second and third now. Stolen base for Marisnick is 14th of the year. Fernando Salas next in line. And now the 1-2. Change it, fouled off.
Altuve had to stay back as long as he could just to foul that one off. Took his hands back long enough through the strike zone to foul that one off.
And that is driven out to left center field. Victorino's not going to get this one. It'll bring in 2. Altuve on his way to second. 9-5 Houston.
And Altuve continues to swing the bat well against the Angels. And so she's going to go to the bullpen after that swing from Altuve.
Moore as good as he was in the 5th, unable to retire a batter here in the 6th. The Angels down by 4. A 2 RBI double chases Mike Moore. Salas on in relief. I'll tell you about that in just a sec. You can follow the Angels all season long with MLB.com At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcast, statcasts, and more. Get MLB.com At Bat for your smartphone or tablet today. Salas pitching in his 44th game, 1-1 record, a .399 ERA. 41 strikeouts in 38 in the 3rd innings. Trying to put out this fire that is the Houston Astros. All 4 guys have reached here in the 6th inning. 4 consecutive hits, 3 of which were doubles against Mike Moore. Marlon Gonzalez coming up now.
Got to keep an eye on Altuve at second. Very real look back at him.
A bunt up the first base line. Salas throws to first. And they got the out. Nice play by Fernando. Ball very close to hitting Marlon Gonzalez as he was running out of the box.
And he was inside field of play. That could have easily been called an out there too. It's clearly a bunt for a base hit. Almost got his leg as he got out of the batter's box, and he's running down on that grass. If you hit him in the back, he's out. And now Altuve has to go back to second base.
Call that a sacrifice. Infield in again. Here's Carlos Correa. 0-1. Correa 2 for 2 with a home run, a walk, and a single. Two.
Spied the fastball well so far in this at bat against a good fastball hitter. And Correa, fastball away, fastball in.
One ball, 2 strikes. Good pitch in on the hands. Keeps the count at 1-2. Kevin Gaddis on deck. One, 2 again. Upstairs. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Halos have Calhoun, Pujols, and Ibar coming up in the 7th. Josh Fields at a 1-2-3 6th. Will Harris getting ready for Houston. That's a called strike 3. Down goes Correa, 2 outs.
Right at the knees, middle part of the plate. Big strikeout for Fernando. Great location, that fastball. There's some good ones. That entire sequence.
There's Gaddis, starting left fielder tonight for Houston. 0 for 3. Ground down, fly ball to center to strikeout. 9-5. Stros here in the 6th. Halos tomorrow will have Garrett Richards on the mound going up against Lance McCullers. Matt Shoemaker scheduled to get to start on Thursday against Scott Kazmir, the newest Astro, local boy, Houston area. Good fastball, 1-2. Fastball away.
Good velo on the fastball for Fernando. Just missing that 92-mile-an-hour fastball.
And it's picked up for him. as the season has progressed. I think he was lacking that a little bit of command early on. 2-2. Full count. Off speed pitch. Gets into one down the line, but hooks it foul.
An indication how strong Gaddis is, how he got his hands, tucked his hands toward his body and still got that bat head out and just pulled that one foul.
He reaches for this one, drives one out to left center field. Going back on it is Robertson. Now one's off the wall. Backing up is Victorino. Gaddis on his way to third. He's got his 7th triple of the season. It's 10-5 Astros.
Well, he was thinking triple as soon as he saw that ball off the wall. Never hesitated. And he crushed that one too. He's originally thinking that as a chance to get out. And then all of a sudden off the wall, he's thinking triple. 7th triple of the season for Gaddis.
That run charged the more until the book closed on Mike now. 4 runs in his 1 inning. Now Valbuena in the hole. Oh, pardon me, ahead of the count at 1-0. Third baseman 0 for 2. Hit by a pitch and scored in the second. "12 hits tonight for Houston." Again with the start that Wilson had today, what it does to your bullpen for the rest of the series, the rest of a road trip. Not what you wanted to see tonight to kick off this stretch of games here.
That's a tough road trip. When you think about it, you have the Astros, and then this game is a game behind you, and then you got to deal with the Dodgers. The final 3 of this road trip.
Wilson given a 2-0 lead in the first, gave one of those runs back in the first. A 4-1 lead, gave that back in the second. He just took a 5-4 lead. Coughed that up in the 4th inning as this one's found back. The Astros have not looked back, scoring those 2 runs in the 4th. Four extra base hits in this 6th inning. 3 doubles, 1 triple for Houston. And all toward that left center field area.
Altuve with 3 more hits tonight against the Angels.
Valbuena foul tips that one into the mid. And the inning is over. 4 runs in for the Astros. They extend their lead as we head to the 7th. It's 10-5 Houston. On the mound, Preston Tucker takes over left for Evan Gattis. And it's Will Harris on in relief here of Josh Fields. As the Angels have 3, 4, and 5 coming up. Harris has had a terrific season for Houston. 41st game, a 1.40 ERA.
And his fastball, good fastball, throws a lot of them. 90, 94. There's a curveball, 12-6 break on his curveball, and an occasional changeup.
Cole Calhoun 0 for 3 tonight.
In this ballpark, you're never out of a game. You see some base runners.
That's line to left. Good piece of hitting by Cole. It's a leadoff single. Bring up Albert.
Still getting this round of boos as he's introduced.
Just over 24,000 here tonight. The opening game of this series. Albert with a walk, an RBI single, and a ground out. Harris is the third pitcher tonight for Houston. Colin McHugh went the 5 innings, gave up 5 runs on 7 hits, and then Fields with a 1-2-3-6. Oh, 2 up in the finals of baseball in the American League. Toronto losing to the Phillies 3-2. Troy Tulowitzki being added to that potent offense for Toronto. They got Troy Hawkins as well from the Rockies. Curious move for Toronto,
especially when scoring runs really hasn't been much of an issue for them this year. Still say they're trying to get another starting pitcher.
White Sox beat Boston. Jobber chased the breaking ball. 1 out. White Sox, by the way, now hit 4 back to the wild card. All of a sudden, they've won 6 in a row.
That's why I talk about trading Samardzija. It's kind of gone away now.
Yeah, 6 in a row. Cleveland lost to Kansas City. They've lost 6 in a row. Mentioned trades. The Royals picking up Ben Zobrist today from the Oakland A's. Go along with Johnny Cueto. There's Ibar with 1 out, 1 on. Always believed that prospects in your system are either going to get you to the promised land or they will get you the players that help get you to the promised land.
Exactly. The Royals have traded 5 pitchers away in the last couple of days.
At this point last year, Ned Yost was going to get fired. They were a couple games under 500.
Raul Ibanez had a team meeting. I think it might have been in Chicago. From that point forward, Kansas City turned it around.
Ibar hits one out towards center. Marisnik broke back and into his right. 2 outs. So the leadoff single, still standing at first base as Crone steps in. First baseman tonight, 0 for 2 with a walk, a strikeout, a pop-up. Tampa Bay beat the Tigers 10-2. Arizona leading Seattle 2-0. Mentioned the Yankees Rangers score. It's now 19-5. The bottom of the 6th inning.
For a while there, it looked like the Rangers were rumored to be the lead team as far as getting Cole Hamels.
Carlin fouls it off. One ball, two strikes. 10-5. Houston here in the seventh. Breaking ball to dirt. Boy, that thing is about 2-3 feet in front of home plate. Cole advances to second on the wild pitch.
It's the old overthrown curveball. Well, it got to the dirt area. It looked like initially it was pretty close to the grass area. That's what all Hank can do to try to keep that ball even close to being in front of him.
Count even up at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Fastball that is rolled foul. Cardinals with 8 hits. Houston with 12. Just turned into one of those games tonight. Oh, so promising to start too. Cardinals running wild on the bases.
4-1 lead after 1.5 innings.
Broken bat roller to short. Correa has it. That'll do it for the Yankees. As a matter of fact, they sent 7 men to the plate in the first 2 innings of the Yankees. Stretch time. Houston on top.
Former Halo Hank Conger has had himself a solid game, pulling the pitch from C.J. Wilson, the cut fastball, inside part of the plate, turns on and hits a single to left field. And then a fastball away against Mike Moore, doubles on the left field wall. 3 times on base, 3 runs scored for the first time in his career for Hank Conger. He's very solid. Swinging the bat today for the Astros.
Left-hander Cesar Ramos takes over on the mound here for Fernando Salas. Salas ended up going 1 inning and had 1 hit allowed, 2 strikeouts. Ramos pitching his 38th game, 2-0 mark and a 1.57 ERA. He's got Carter, Conger, and Rasmus due up here for Houston. Third reliever used by Mike Scioscia. First card of the DH tonight, 1 for 3 with a 2-run blast off Wilson in the second. 2 strikeouts since then. Third straight game, by the way, in which have allowed 7 or more runs.
Had a phenomenal stretch there for a while. It was an outstanding team ERA.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Home run that Carter hit back in the second inning, 17th of the year, 45 RBIs now. Skies went out to right center. Playable for Robertson. 1 down. Spins back around to hit from the right side. Hit by pitch, 2 hits, a single and a double. First career game, as Gooby said, 3 runs scored. Jason Castro will be back there tomorrow behind the plate. Halos have a couple of righties going the next couple days. Richardson, Shoemaker.
Talked to Garrett today before the game. He's starting to really feel comfortable on the mound right now, especially with his slider. Trying to make sure he keeps that front shoulder tucked in.
Got locked up with Irvin on Wednesday. Just 1 bad pitch. That was it.
You know, when the Trevor Plouffe, that slider that backed up on him.
Two balls and a strike. 2-2. Got him with an off-speed pitch. Down goes Hank. 2 outs.
Big curveball, great location. It's a swing and miss from Hank Hunter. The first time the Angels have retired him in this game.
Rasmus doubled home a run and scored in the 6th inning. Takes low. 3 infielders on the right side. And it's Ibar staying on the left side. Connor Gillespie, the third baseman, out in shallow right. Veteran Chad Quall's getting ready now. Houston. He'll pitch the 8th. 2 balls and a strike.
He's had his troubles in his career versus the Angels.
This one pulled and beats the shift. A 2-out single brings up Marisnick. Marisnick's been on board twice with a single and a walk. He scored twice. Also picked up his 14th stolen base last inning. Halos 5-5 against Houston this year. Barring a comeback, dropped to 5-6. These two teams will be tied atop the division.
And this percentage points up on them because less losses.
This is the Astros' 101st game. The Angels 99.
AT Hinch has done a nice job with this club.
A lot of young players, veterans brought in. Hinch in his first season. Former catcher himself out of Stanford. Briefly managed the Diamondbacks. There's the 1-2. Upstairs. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Altuve on deck. Got him on an off-speed pitch. 3rd out here, the 7th. We will head to the 8th. The Angels down 10-5.
The 8th inning. Ken French back with you. Don't forget, following this one, it's all about Angels Live postgame presented by your SoCal Mazda dealers. Jose Mota and myself will talk about all the Angels trade action this afternoon as they pick up 2 left-handed bats. We'll also bring you the highlights of this game and talk about the debut of Shane Victorino in an Angel uniform. And fellas, I figured it'd be a great time to give you a couple facts about Shane Victorino you might not be aware of. So here we go. He's a former Hawaii State High School track and field champ. He's a fan of Bob Marley and uses 3 Little Birds as his walk-up song. And he had a brief acting role on an episode of Hawaii Five-0 playing a character called Sean. We'll also talk a little Taylor Swift in the post-game show. That's all coming up after the game, guys. A lot of exciting stuff going on here.
Bevy of information.
Boatload of stuff, yeah. Can't wait to tune in. I wish I got the channel here in Houston. Thanks, Kent. Chad Qualls takes over here in the 8th inning. 35th game. Chris Iannetta swinging first pitch. Bounces one to Luis Valbuena. 1 down. Chris a 1-for-3 game now with that ground out. Qualls with 4 saves under his belt. 29 innings, 27 strikeouts, 7 walks as Victorino comes to the plate. First at bat in the second, wearing the Angels uniform, a bunt base hit. He's grounded out and struck out since then. Angels sending to Josh Rutledge, the infielder, to Boston to get Victorino. Victorino, David DeJesus, and David Murphy, all acquired over the last 24 hours.
Well, right away, his teammates were happy to see Victorino when he came into that clubhouse today. A lot of smiles.
Ground ball slowly hit. Correa comes charging in. 2 outs. As promised early in the game, we've selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag WestDataStrongFan for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast, and it's brought to you by T-Mobile. So 2 outs and nobody on for Daniel Robertson. Got to start today in center field for Trout. Anticipate Mike Scioscia talking about Mike Trout's injury in the postgame. That also will be on Angels Live postgame. One and only Kent French, Jose Mota. Robertson 0 for 3. 2 ground outs to the fly ball to center. Chopper over the mound. Altuve, Correa. Altuve with a bare hand and safe at first. Boy, what a play by Altuve. Infield base hit for Robertson.
I don't think he would even have a chance. All in one motion. Fields with the bare hand and a throwing motion, and a good throw, firm throw to first base for Altuve. Robertson runs very well and needed all that speed to be able to beat that one out. A perfect throw, but Robertson infield hit.
Johnny DiVitella up now. 2 outs and a man on. 1 for 3 game with a walk and a single. Ground ball toward third. Valbuena to the backhand, spins around, fires to second, and they get the third out. Robertson going hard at second base. Back to the bottom of the 8th inning. 10-5 Houston.
Altuve leading off. He's had another monster game tonight. Career high 5 RBIs. He had a 2-run single in the 4th, 2-run double in the 6th. 3-hit game for Altuve and has scored 1 run.
Altuve, Gonzalez, and Correa. Ramos, his second inning of work. Ground ball to second. 1 out. The way the 8th was kind of interesting. Ended, anyways. On the fielder's choice that Giavotella hit. I think Robertson went hard at second base. Maybe clipped Altuve. Apologize. I don't think Jose was all too happy, especially in a 10-5 game and a meaningless out at second.
That's the way Robertson plays the game, though. I mean, he's trying to prevent that last out, still keep the inning alive. So he went in there sliding hard at second base, trying to beat that throw out. When you look back at this game, and the turning point, really, in my opinion, was in that 4th inning when CJ had 2 outs, just 1 on, and Marisnick ended up working that walk on a 3-2 pitch, bringing up Altuve, the guy you don't want to have come up in those situations, end up driving in 2 in the 4th inning.
And while he may or may not have gotten the call on what could have been a 3rd strike, still had the opportunity to get him out after the fact. Ended up walking him. Defense had its issues as well on the rundown. Prone launching one over to Giavotella, short hopped him, and that allowed Marisnick to score the 2nd run. And at that point, Houston took the lead, and that was it.
When you think about it, Altuve's career batting average against the Angels coming into this game, .330, with 4 home runs and 16 RBI in his career. That's over 194 at-bats. So you wanted him to come up to the plate where there's no one on base if you can. Because he's going to put the ball in play.
5 RBIs tonight. Three one. And a walk. 2nd one picked up by Gonzalez.
If you go through your scouting reports on your opponent, there's always 1 or 2 guys you really have to try to navigate your way through to make sure they're not in situations where they can hurt you. Obviously, the one being Altuve. But there's other guys in this lineup. If he makes some good pitches, you can get him out. Correa is a guy is dangerous. He can drive the ball, as we saw that home run to right field against C.J. Wilson in the 1st inning. The rest of the lineup, if you make some good pitches, you can get him out if you get ahead. But if you fall behind, they're going to hit the ball hard.
Correa fouls one. That's an 0-1 count. And just go back to that at bat. I mean, whether it's that 4th inning or any other inning, you get in that situation, you've got to feel pretty good. It's not taking anything away from Jake Marisnick. You got the stuff to finish off the 9th place hitter. If he beats you, he beats you. As long as you make your pitch.
I mean, Marisnick had decent numbers coming in his career versus CJ, but he had been struggling swinging the bat.
So right, but the alternative is Altuve. Yes. That's the point you're making.
You just go right after him.
Right.
I mean, last year in a game back, I think it was in June 4th, as a matter of fact, where Garrett Richards pitched against this Astro lineup. Correa wasn't in there.
Looper out to right, that'll fall in. Correa with another hit.
And he went 8 shutout innings. His 4 hits allowed 9 strikeouts, and he was consistently ahead of that game, getting 0-1, 0-2, and finishing off hitters quickly. 9 punch-outs for Richards. So if you get ahead against these guys, you can do some damage as far as mixing and matching outside of the strike zone. But if you're forced in the strike zone, they do not miss.
I mean, look at even Colin McHugh tonight. You talk about a guy that was struggling as well. 3 walks in the 1st inning. Command was an issue for him. But he figured it out. He righted the ship, started throwing strikes, gave up the home run to Iannetta, but then had a 1-2-3 4th. Got in a little trouble in the 5th, but then struck out Victorino, and that was it. We've seen enough of the of CJ starts over the years, and I've certainly seen my share going back to even further to Texas, where at times it feels like he's trying to outthink the opposition on every single pitch, as opposed to sometimes it's all right to not think it, just pitch.
Especially with his stuff.
Right.
We said that a lot. When he's got 4, sometimes 5 out pitches during the course of a game.
Tucker swinging and grounds one to Giavotella. 4-6. 3 goes the double play that ends the 8th. We will head to the 9th. The Angels down 10-5. Ready with a hit and a single. Jose Altuve with 2 outs delivers a 2 RBI single. He was credited with 2 RBIs, got the rundown, and this bad throw by Crone allowed Baristic to score the second run of that inning. At that point, made it 6-5, and Houston has never looked back. They lead at 10-5 as we start this 9th. 5 RBI game for Jose Altuve, and the left-hander Tony Sipp takes over on the mound to finish this one off. Sipp takes over for Chad Qualls. Connor Gillespie, Cole Calhoun, and Albert Pujols for the Angels here in the 9th.
Sipp's fastball, 87 to 91 range, slider, curveball.
Connor Gillespie, a couple of hits tonight, 2 for 4, 2 runs batted in. th game for Sipp, 2-4 record at 2.83 ERA. One ball, 1 strike. Connor picked up on Friday from the White Sox. Native of Omaha, Nebraska, to Wichita State.
Done a nice job so far wearing the names of uniform.
Pulls this one to first.
Trout in the dugout. Seems to be okay there. More news after the game from Mike Scioscia. Exactly what came about after that MRI was done earlier today.
Cole, a 1 for 4 game with a single in the 7th. score holds. The Angels will drop to 55 and 44 on the season. Astros at 56 and 45. Chopper back to the mound. 2 down, making Marwin Gonzalez work a little bit. The Angels down to the last out as Albert steps to the plate now. One for 3 tonight. RBI single back in the second. One. Lance McCullers Jr. and Garrett Richards. Game 2 tomorrow night. There's the 1-1 off the plate.
Richards' last 4 starts against the Astros, 3-1 with a 1.67 ERA.
Albert drives one out toward right center field. Long run from Marisnik. Still racing back, curls around, makes the catch, and the Astros take game 1 by the final of 10-5.
And you look back, he had opportunities to be able to expand the lead. Did so, had some good swings, an early 4-1 lead, but then the Astros capitalized on some mistakes made by C.J. Wilson. Took the lead and never looked back and continued to hit the ball well, especially when they're ahead of the counts.
Not the way you wanted game 1 of this 6-game road trip to start, but Houston takes advantage of it, and they take the first one, and now both teams sitting atop the American League West. Astros win at 10-5. Stick around. Angels Live postgame with Ken French and Jose Mota coming up next.